what are your thoughts on hybrid SPF moisturizers? Is this a good solution for those who are minimalists?
Great question. And we recently did a collab with Strivectin on their Super C SPF 30 moisturizer. The thing is with any hybrid SPF moisturizer, it can be a little subjective and boils down to the texture. That is before you get into the moisturizing benefits or the antioxidant benefits, whatever hybrid benefits is claiming, the most important thing is still texture.
Yeah, totally agree. I kind of think that hybrid SPFs actually are better for oily skin types. I think because it's just less layering. And I found that on average the texture is not that bad. If you think about versus layering like moisture plus sunscreen, I think actually the hybrid texture would be a better option. Obviously, there's definitely some caveats to this, but yeah, that's my kind of like theory on this.
That's a really good point because I realized that I have dry skin. I should have brought my beanie. But I'm very indifferent about hybrid SPF. Yeah. I don't even think about it as a hybrid SPF. For me, it's still just if I like the texture, I'll use it. But
you're definitely layering.
I'm still layering. Yeah. Regardless of what SPF I use, I'm still layering.
Oh, also, you're gonna think this is really random. I have a tinfoil hat theory.
Ooh,
we forgot it today, but we're gonna. Okay. My crazy tinfoil hat theory is about mineral sunscreen. I think the reason why they're so draggy is why their protection is better because you can only get so far rubbing the texture. So you have to apply a ton to feel like you have actually applied it all over your face. That's my tinfoil hat theory.
I don't like it. It's probably true, but I don't like it.
I know. It totally does not excuse the horrible texture, but I have found that I've been testing a lot of minerals, and that drag makes me put on so much more than need be.
To demonstrate Victoria's point, during our trip back to Taiwan, I have acquired this this Alley sunscreen. They have a whole line under this branding.
They're definitely a new rising Japanese sunscreen brand.
I think they're gaining a lot of traction here, and it's also very, very popular in Asia locally. I picked this one out. They have a whole series. I picked this one out on purpose because it's it's pretty much one of the only ones from that line that is zinc heavy and completely free of oxide, which is very popular in Asia because so then I got it. I really like the original one, which is like a zinc and Asian filters blend. It also have oxide. So I was like, you know what, if we can make a suggestion on a less controversial filter blend, it might be very helpful to our followers. And then lo and behold, it is very very difficult to spread.
Wow.
I am not a very tan person. No. I am pretty tan in Asian standards, shocking. But it is hard to get it to go in. And like Victoria said, as you rub, it starts to get draggier and draggier.
So you don't got a lot of time to rub it in.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then it just sets, and it does feel very filmy. I will say the dry down and everything else on this is I still think it's pleasant. But it's just the nature of it. It just starts to drag, and you have to use a lot more formula to spread it over your face.
I'm more appalled by how whitening it is.
It is very white.
I'm not even gonna try putting this on my face.
For those of you listening, consider checking out the YouTube video around the 50-minute mark to see how white it is.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try. Yikes.
Yeah. So.
Well, there you go. So anyways, that was like where I was like, well, it definitely does make people put like way more of it on your face.
It's true, because usually we preach that you do have to apply more than you think. But a lot of times, especially if I'm not going anywhere serious, I am guilty of just putting on just enough to cover and then get
like
out
a sheer film.
Yeah. I mean, I do have to think about it if I'm like trying to be better with it. So this is probably enough for me to cover my whole face. I don't have a huge face for most formulas, but this is only enough for half face for me, which means I'm actually probably applying sunscreen right.
There you go. All right, cool. Also, let's go over, someone asked about best practices for layering sunscreen. Cool. Anyways, for layering, we would rather you do moisturizer sunscreen than do sunscreen foundation, just because generally sunscreen and foundation, they both can use a lot of powders, they use silicones, they use gelling agents. A lot of these things can all add up to pilling. Yeah. So we find that moisturizer and then sunscreen, moisturizer and then sunscreen on top, you have a better chance of not causing pilling. So that's where, we would say, obviously with sunscreen, you want it to be your last step in your skincare routine. And then if you absolutely have to apply foundation, please leave enough time for your sunscreen to absorb and set up, and then apply the foundation. But if you do see any sort of kind of weirdness happening, the balling up, you see that your foundation isn't sitting quite right, it most likely means there's an incompatibility issue, and we recommend you probably need to change out something. Mm-hmm. So that would be our general best practices on layering.
Yep.
Yeah. And then finally, my question for Gloria is...
no.
I've asked her so many questions, hard questions. All right, so I had you rank all of the kind of like not so great antioxidants. Let's say CE ferulic is wiped off the planet. You can't get it anymore. There's no ascorbic acid to be had. What the heck are you going to do? In terms of antioxidants.
Just wither into a raisin.
Just all the sunscreen.
Yes. I think for me, I go with an antioxidant. Vitamin C derivative. This is a bit of a cheating answer because.
Also, Gloria, you look like a geisha.
You're
so pale.
So I know, and I am not tan by any means.
You're so pale. Anyways, go on.
Yes, I will use a vitamin C derivative because a lot of vitamin C derivatives has some study on whether or not it converts to L-ascorbic acid in the skin. This is just one aspect of it, but it does tell me that it does more than.
Yes.
I think that's cheating.
It is. No, but I have to say, just like the amount of data that a lot of these derivatives have is already more than most.
I was going to say cockatoo plum.
Wait, you would use cockatoo plum?
I'm just kidding.
This is a moment, guys.
I shoved my face in a cockatoo plum.
Okay. To be fair, no cockatoo plum for Gloria. But yeah, so I totally agree. I think the amount of data just for any one of these vitamin C derivatives is actually a lot more than what's going on with some of these antioxidants. I've made it to clinicals, and a lot of times I think what we didn't mention is sometimes they don't actually make it to any sort of antioxidant lipid peroxidation study, but they look for things like UV damage, things like they look for things that are associated with UV damage, such as pigmentation. And so those are kind of some general good signs that it can be helpful. But again, I agree. This is kind of a worst case scenario. There's no CE ferulic to be had. I think that's a great way to go.
I think in conclusion, a lot of the ingredients we touch on today is if you can use a CE ferulic in your routine, they might not hurt as a supplement, but they're just not must-haves. Yeah. If your skin can't tolerate vitamin C of any sort, then maybe these are good options. As we mentioned, even the ones that we are like kind of in about based on the data and evidence, they're still better than just random like trendy extract you're gonna find.
Yeah, and also like skincare is, it's fun to dabble in it, and there's nothing wrong with trialing it out for yourself. And if you do, please let us know. So yeah.